Highlands of Scotland, you think of wildlife in terms of the red deer, the golden eagle, the otter, the osprey, the pine marten, or maybe even the Highland cow. However, it may be time for the reintroduction of an apex predator to this fantastic landscape, and this comes in the shape and size of the Eurasian lynx. We were given privileged access to the Lynx Enclosure to produce this feature by the Five Sisters Zoo in West Lothian near Edinburgh. There we set up some HD cameras to give us an even closer perspective of these amazing cats. My dad and my big sister Iona were my crew. Finding the right angles was essential for good images. Even though we were setting these cameras up in their enclosure, we had no idea how the lynx would react to this intrusion. And sure enough, within seconds of being introduced to their lunch, Chef, the alpha male, made his feelings known by trying to destroy my new camera trap by rubbing himself all over the camera and tried to tear at the straps. It was obvious that Chef had other ideas about what was going to happen in his territory, but it was now time to embrace the facts as to the pros and cons of dealing with the rewilding of the lynx to the British Isles. And I'm here with Nathan Roberts, our Marketing Education Officer, and I'm going to ask him some questions. So tell me about the Eurasian lynx.
We've got our amazing 2 Eurasian lynx. We've got 1 male and 1 female. The male, called Chef, joined us from Germany last year in the summertime, so he's been here for about a year now. And then we have our absolutely stunning female, Chloe. She's been here for a number of years. Absolutely amazing to have both cats, absolutely superb animals to not only work with, but also for the public to see.
So who will be affected by the reintroduction of the lynx?
So rewilding both in England and in Scotland through the reintroduction of a lynx. Of course, it is only a proposal and it is a trial. It is going to be very, very scientifically overseen and managed and monitored as well. So I think we can learn a lot from the examples in Europe. There have been some really, really successful reintroductions to bolster the population of the Eurasian lynx elsewhere in Europe. So, you know, we're not going into this blind, and I think we can really learn from what's been happening in Europe. So, is it a danger to people? Is it a danger to livestock? Or is it any other dangers? What are the risks? It's very much an open, transparent platform for these different stakeholders who may be affected by or could affect the project. And that, I think, is really key. So I think it's going to have everybody's best interest, or it allows the opportunity for the best interest to go forward. And as I say, this is just a trial. As I understand it, it's a 5-year trial. So we can evaluate and monitor throughout the 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years, see if it's a good idea, it's a bad idea, and see what can happen. But what we can learn from other examples across Europe in terms of economical benefit, we could be looking at billions and billions of pounds brought back into the Scottish economy and UK economy.
So what impact would the lynx have on the biodiversity?
The lynx in the UK has of course been absent for over 1,000 years. And so things like the deer population has been without this natural predator. So without that natural predator, the deer population has been allowed to grow and grow and grow. And clearly they are herbivores, and so they will take young vegetation, including young trees. So by introducing or reintroducing this apex predator, this lynx, back in, it could help to stabilise this deer population and therefore actually help the natural vegetation to actually give it a chance, basically. A lot of ground nesting birds as well, and other wildlife that depends on the ground vegetation. In the absence of a carnivore, a top-level carnivore like the lynx, they haven't had that habitat. So by reintroducing a lynx, it could benefit not only the vegetation but also the other animals dependent on that, whether it's the mini beasts and the small invertebrates, whether it's the ground nesting birds, or a whole host of ecological benefits will arise or anticipated to arise from the lynx reintroduction, and that has been well documented in other cases such as the wolves of Yellowstone that had a massive benefit ecologically. I think really the lynx is a deer specialist. It hunts deer, that's its favoured food item. So the risk of predation on sheep is very, very minimal. And even if we do look back again at this opportunity to learn from Europe, the data would suggest that like less than 1 sheep is taken by a lynx per year. It's actually 0.4. So based on that, it would take 2 years before a single sheep would have been taken by a lynx. If you compare that specifically with the amount of issues that domestic dogs could cause walking through fields, the sheep scares caused by dogs, and even dangers, direct dangers of dogs on other livestock, including sheep, would be much higher. As well as, of course, sheep and other livestock have many natural causes of death as well. But this is only what we can learn from the European examples. Again, as I said, this is going to be a very scientific trial of a reintroduction, so it can be continually monitored throughout, and we will gather data as it comes about, and then we can learn from it and be able to possibly report on it as well.
In the end, the Scottish Government, along with the landowners and farmers, have to be on board with the compensation plan for the potential of loss of sheep with this reintroduction. If the farmers are on board, then it should bring much needed balance back to huge areas of the UK's wildlife. The enigmatic and stunning lynx are impressive cats that are related to tigers, lions, domestic cats, jaguars, and other members of the large cat family. There are 4 species of lynx. What distinguishes these cats from their relatives are the compact legs, stubby tail, and erect ears topped with pointed black tufts of fur. In one of the most ambitious rewilding projects ever to take place in the UK, the large deer-eating felines could be introduced to 3 unfenced estates later this year. But now the wild lynx roam the woods of England and Scotland once again. I think it'd be a great thing to have our indigenous species roaming around the Highlands like they did hundreds of years ago. What do you think?